I'm standing here on a 535 million year old monolith. It's called Chimney Rock. You can see on a clear day 75 miles that way to Charlotte, North Carolina, and right down there along the Hickory Nut Gorge leads you to Asheville, that cultured and eclectic North Carolina hub. 100 Days Drinks, Dishes, and Destinations is brought to you by...
With AMA Waterways, guests can climb, pedal, and journey beyond the beaten path while cruising on storied rivers across Europe. You can find out more at amawaterways.com.
When I picture my dad, Josh, I remember his hands. Strong, they were worn, stained. That was years of hard working as a lumberjack. His commitment, work ethic, values, that's what really inspired me to create Josh Cellars.
Otherworldly and down to earth. Visit Napa Valley.
Come with me to stamp your passport to delicious. I'm drinks and culinary expert Leslie Sbrocco, and I'm traveling, tasting, sipping, and savoring the world to share my bucket list of palate-pleasing experiences.
Cheers.
On 100 Days, Drinks, Dishes, and Destinations. Part of the Appalachian Mountain Range, the Blue Ridge Mountains extend from Georgia to Pennsylvania. As the dense carpet of trees release isoprene, a blue tint can be seen when viewed at a distance, hence the name. I'm visiting western North Carolina and its largest city, Asheville, right in the heart of the Blue Ridge Range. A road trip along the Blue Ridge Parkway certainly won't disappoint with its meandering road and breathtaking vistas, but I'm set on an up-close and personal encounter the old-fashioned way, on foot. So with hiking the hills in mind, I'm gonna need some sustenance, which brings me to John Fleer's The Rhu, Asheville's cozy bakery and pantry for all things local and scrumptious. Hey, John.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
to see
How are
you.
you?
Yeah.
You have 3 restaurants?
I have 3 restaurants. So Rhubarb was the first, and then The Rhu is about 3 years old. And then last year opened Benet on Eagle.
Let's see what I can order here. They have bacon and dessert and bacon and cheese and dessert and bacon. What's going on in terms of the restaurant scene here in Asheville? I mean, I know the beer scene is crazy.
Some foundational restaurants that opened in the early 2000s, and really since 2013 when Rhubarb opened, it's been amazing. But I really think what drives that is our community of farmers. So you ready to take a look at your picnic?
I am.
See what we packed
I'm
up
starving.
for you?
This is called an oatmeal.
Oatmeal cream pie. Is it okay?
Fantastic. Is that like a cream cheese in there?
It's more along the lines of a buttercream
got a
because
nice
cream
little-
cheese isn't fatty enough.
But it's got a little tang.
Yeah,
it's got a
does
nice
have a
little
little
tang.
So we've got 3 local cheeses: Ridgeline from Looking Glass, a cow's milk cheese. The line of ash is supposed to represent the Appalachian ridge lines. Yellow Branch is probably one of the oldest continuously made cheeses in western North Carolina. They're out
cow's
in the,
milk cheese?
It's a cow's milk cheese. It's a farm that started with just three cows. Boxcar Campo is a wash rind cheese from Durham. This is a newer company, but probably the best cheese maker in North Carolina.
Oh, I can smell that from here.
Aged Tennessee prosciutto, really one of the finest things we have, almost a 22-month ham.
It has a density and a chewiness to it. And then there's this really salty hit that comes in right there.
One of our lemonaded baguettes. So this is a combination of a baguette dough and a croissant dough. So they're blended together.
I'm gonna make a mess.
It's gonna make a mess.
So there
Every
is that
crumb.
almost croissant-y, look at that.
Definitely, yeah. Now that we have a napkin, you can
and
do anything you
there
need.
is a crunch, look at that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it does break almost like a
It
croissant.
definitely does, and this is probably only an hour and a half out of the oven.
I think that's the best bread I've ever eaten in my life. I can't thank you enough, John.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you all enjoy this picnic, and
Deal.
take care.
Come back.
Yep. Happy hiking.
Setting out from the city, go north, south, east, or west. It's nature's majesty in any direction. I find a spot to take in one of the many awe-inspiring waterfalls of the area. On a hot day like today, these waters are refreshing. I'll be sure to toe test first. This fresh mountain spring water can be very cold, although some don't seem to mind. Suitably refreshed down in the gap, I'm eager for a bird's eye view. And Chimney Rock is considered one of the most iconic outlook sites in North Carolina. As the unforgettable drive ascends through the state park and comes to an end, it's back to the boots and some huffing and puffing to reach the summit. This is a mountain. This is a big hill. Okay, up to the monolith, 500 plus stairs, or there's an elevator. Behind me is a unique piece of chimney rock. It's a tunnel that goes to an elevator that opened in 1949 when the park was privately owned by the Morse family, and they just wanted everyone to have access to the park and to its beauty. Hey, how are ya? 258 feet in 32 seconds. Here's a bit of trivia. Because this is such a picturesque area, Lake Lure behind me is where Dirty Dancing was filmed. And right up there, the last few minutes of Last of the Mohicans. What a stunning park.
Nice views, huh?
Part of the Appalachian Range.
The foothills leading into the Appalachian Range.
So you say Appalachian, I said Appalachian, I've heard Appalachian.
Well, the locals will say Appalachian.
Okay.
So the park is just over 6,000 acres.
All right, so this is just one, it's one
small
part.
park.
Okay,
Yeah, so
but that is, that's a nice rock.
It's a Henderson Gneiss rock. A lot of people think it's granite, but it's actually gneiss, spelled G-N-E-I-S-S.
Oh, okay.
So,
And it's 535 million years old.
correct, which is older than dinosaurs.
All right, I think I'm gonna have to go up and hike it now. This is one magnificent view. So much beauty. My journey must continue, though. I feel like Maid Marian looking for Robin Hood. I've never done any falconry.
Well, that's perfect. You have no bad habits then.
That's right.
You'll be the perfect one. All my birds are named for beer. So, Hoppy boy.
I love you.
There we go. Perfect. Oh, he just went,
He's playing with
Put
me
it
now.
down.
With birds fresh on my mind, or arm, I tackle an age-old question. Why did the ducks cross the road? Because they wanted to visit the Biltmore, of course. Who wouldn't?
It took an entire community of craftsmen more than 6 years to create the 4 acres of floor space, 35 bedrooms, 43 bathrooms, and 65 fireplaces, all wrapped in a spectacular French Renaissance exterior, crowned with statues, pediments, gargoyles, and 2 striking Italian rose marble lions checking me out on my way in the front door.
So many people talk about Biltmore as being an English lady in a French dress because it has this beautiful French facade, but the interiors are really based on an English country house. These are our hosts just behind us. George W. Vanderbilt, who built the house in 1895. This is by John Singer Sargent. And his wife, Edith, which is by Giovanni Boldini in 1911. The library is my favorite room in the house, but it's 250 rooms, so many to choose from. And I think one of the most amazing things is how much it really does feel like a home, how alive it feels.
I feel like I'm in the garden.
It's a beautiful space. So this is the Winter Garden, built by the architect Richard Morris Hunt. The statuary in the center is one of the last things that was put into place before he welcomed his guests here at Christmas of 1895. And at the time, he was a bachelor. And it was the place where he was able to welcome his friends and family down.
Quite the bachelor pad.
And then he married in 1898 Edith Vanderbilt, and they had 1 daughter in 1900. And so she grew up in this space, she was married in this space, and in fact, for her wedding in 1924, there was this amazing wedding party, and they were seated at a horseshoe table around this fountain in all of the glamorous fashions of the day, and I can only imagine what they had to eat.
And drink.
And drink. Frederick Olmsted, who was the landscape designer, wanted you to feel like you were far away from the city, far away from New York or Newport, and in the southern, beautiful climate. That was really part of the design of the place. Because the Biltmore's always been owned by the family, we have not only the original furnishings, we have the original textiles, we have all of their archives, we have all of their receipts. It's something that you can't find for the Gilded Age, and everything's intact. So we're in the banquet hall of Biltmore, and this is where George and Edith Vanderbilt would have hosted all their dinners. We know from letters and different archival documents that dinner was held here every night at 8 o'clock, full dress. And so you can just imagine this room sparkling with the silver and the crystal, the candles and the women's jewelry, how beautiful it would have been. So the table itself is really special. It was designed by the architect, and then these chairs custom made to go with the table. So we have 64 chairs in total, that we don't have a party that size on record.
We could put one together.
We sure could. Let's do that. When they had just a few people, maybe friends or family visiting, maybe just a guest or two, they pulled up a table close to the fireplaces. And so that's what we have set here, so you have a sense what that would have looked like. Flemish tapestries, more than 400 years old.
I'm looking up here. We're being watched.
We are. We have some guests in the room. Many of them, we've been told, are world records, the size of them. So they've seen a lot of dinners, overheard a lot of good conversations.
If the moose could talk.
If he could.
The scale of it is so magnificent. I do feel almost like I'm in a Downton Abbey scene.
It feels very much like Downton Abbey, and you can imagine the staff waiting on them, but also making sure every detail was perfect, which is really something that happened. And we have letters about each footman and their gold garters and their perfect wardrobe, and we have some of that still in the archives today.
Just being in this room makes me stand up straighter.
Definitely.
And then you come downstairs to the back of the house, the kitchen, almost human, normal.
Very much so. You can imagine the people working and how much hustle and bustle there would be and everything that needed to get done, but everything's on a very efficient scale. So there's a rotisserie kitchen and then a pastry kitchen, and those would have been separated by these thick walls.
And in terms of staff, what would it have taken to run this house?
So in George's time, it was a state of 125,000 acres. And so he employed farmers, foresters, people working all over the estate. But in terms of the house itself, it ran with a staff of around 30 to 35, which is incredible. They were very well taken care of. They were paid New York wages, which wasn't really happening in much of Western North Carolina. Education was promoted. It was a place with a lot of opportunities. And this is the butler's pantry at Biltmore.
Oh!
So our butlers were British. Food would have been sent up from the kitchens through the dumbwaiters. And even in 1895, the house was electrified with refrigerators, warming stoves, everything to keep every course at just the right temperature until it was time for serving. At the end of the night, when the beautiful baccarat crystal needed to be washed, we have these soft soapstone sinks and a beautiful view out the window. So
no, I mean, if you have to wash dishes, you might as well be looking at that.
We still have people who show up with little bits of history. So in 2000, a woman came who was a relative of a woman named Esther Anderson who worked here in 1904. And this is a listing of their menus for 14 weeks.
October 1st, so they would have eaten ham omelet, fricasseed chicken, sweet potatoes, lamb salad, sago pudding, cream broiled bluefish, small fillets of beef,
potatoes,
right,
spinach,
salad, dessert.
Most of the luncheons are 5 to 6 courses. Most of the dinners are 7 courses. We have a few 8-course dinners in here.
And at that time, like today, things are grown here on the estate.
Exactly.
Everything would have come from here.
Not everything. We have shipping receipts for 30 Smithfield hams, for instance. But most of the things, even fine vegetables, you know, they had gardens that would grow things at different temperatures because of the way that they were walled. We had greenhouses. So most everything was coming off the estate down to the milk. And they really had success in that. And that is what has really continued on to our farm programming today, these same ideas that the Vanderbilts had in the 1890s.
This place is a true treasure,
Absolutely.
A national treasure.
George Vanderbilt wanted to be an innovator in agriculture, and that's still our goal here today. We want to be practicing the most modern and advanced technologies that agriculture has to offer, deliver our product in the most efficient, sustainable way. We want our guests to experience the full circle, to sit in our restaurants and look out the windows and see the forage and grass being grown that feed our cattle and our employees that raise our cattle.
What you call it, a field to table?
Yeah, farm to table, field to fork, whatever you want to call it. That's what we are here. Our cattle have a wonderful life. They enjoy their grain and grass diet and low stress. Around 620 total head of beef cattle. We try to do about 100 steers a year that go to our restaurants. Our Dorper sheep are a meat breed of sheep, and so we use them in our field-to-table program as well. They're self-shedding. They don't produce a wool. It's a wool hair type fiber.
So you don't have to shear these sheep?
You don't have to shear them. They're a hair breed.
So these are just like nature's little lawnmower.
Exactly, that's how they work.
They're out just trimming the grass in the vineyard.
Absolutely, and it costs us no gas to do it. So.
That one's staying in the shade, which is what I would be doing. All right, Kyle, that is one big pig. He's a happy guy.
Just happy as a pig in mud. The Berkshire breed is a heritage breed. It's original to the George Vanderbilt era. Berkshire hog is known for its pie quality, commonly referred to as the Wagyu of the pork breed. So.
Today, Vanderbilt is known for something else, wine. It was William Cecil, George's grandson, who planted vines and worked to perfect wine production on the estate. It's now the most visited winery in North America. I caught up with winemaker Sharon Fenchak.
This is actually our Cabernet Sauvignon, and this is one of the varietals that we have here on property. In a few weeks, they'll start to turn a little purple and produce sugars, and then we'll come out and we'll actually sample the grapes and decide when to pick based on that point.
Most red grapes will have a clear flesh like this, and the color of the wine comes from soaking with those skins during the winemaking process. And Bordeaux varieties like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, why do they do well in this climate?
We are in the mountains, so we have a really good differential of day and night temperatures, which is important to ripening the grape and preserving the acidity of the fruits.
Do you make a sparkling wine here? That's delicious.
Thank you,
I'm a bubbles fan.
Thank you so
Everything's
much.
better with bubbles. And when I discovered your sparkling wine, the Reserve, from North Carolina, I went, this is brilliant.
The sparkling that we do from this particular vineyard comes from our Chardonnay. You know, you'll typically pick the grapes when they're not ripe, like you would for normal still wine, and then we actually go through a secondary fermentation in the bottle, just like they would in Champagne, France.
Now, this is my favorite part of the day.
Mine too.
We end at the wine bar and get to taste the fruits of your labor. Cheers.
Cheers. So this is 100% North Carolina fruit from the vineyard that we saw earlier, so we're very proud of this product.
That is an impressive wine. And now that I've tasted the wine, I can't wait to taste the food at the dining room at the Inn on Biltmore Estate, where Chef Sean Ekman has prepared a plate. Oh, look at this beautiful thing.
This is my interpretation of barbecue. Barbecue is a very ambiguous term. It means many different things to many different people in all parts of the country, all parts of the world. In western portion of North Carolina, pork is king. One of my favorite portions of the pig is the cheek, and they're just meltingly tender. They're absolutely fantastic. We borrowed a little bit from Asian and Filipino barbecue, and we borrowed some soy sauce and some ginger, put it in here also with the vinegar that we're using from western North Carolina.
You really get that barbecue acidity, that western North Carolina barbecue, and that soy sauce kicks in, unlike any barbecue I've ever had.
We took our interpretation of cornbread, turned that into a ravioli, and we have coleslaw in the form of crispy fried red cabbage, and then a very intense vinegar-heavy mayonnaise-based dressing.
So you got the crispiness, and there's a little crunchiness of the coleslaw, right?
Coleslaw.
And do you think George and Edith would have liked this?
I think they would have loved it. You know, George and Edith love to travel the world. So, you know, they brought influences back from all over the world. So having a little bit of a global influence on a very recognizable approach to food, I think just makes absolute sense for being here.
So we're honoring George and Edith and their legacy.
Wonderful. That sounds great.
Cheers.
Cheers.
But the legacy of the Biltmore doesn't end at the gates of the estate. Throughout western North Carolina, with Asheville as its hub, arts, music, and culture thrive. And then there's the food. Local, seasonal, and sustainable is the mantra. While barbecue remains king, here there are more breweries per capita than any other city in the U.S. And you don't have to walk. It's covered. Hop aboard for an experiential journey.
All right, are we ready to do this? All right, come on. Come on, there we go.
Cider, it's closer to beer and maybe how you would consume it, but wine in the process. This is going to be our dry ridge. It's a nice traditional dry cider.
It's got this nice, almost Riesling-like crispness.
Exactly. We've got our ginger campaign, so it's a champagne yeast fermented nice and dry and then infused with some ginger.
This is explosively ginger. This is like taking one of those ginger chews and chewing that.
Our blackberry hopped.
This one to me has the most apple-y character.
That's really interesting. This is gonna be our Cedra del Diablo, vanilla and habanero peppers with the seeds. People won't let us take it off the menu.
No, I mean, if you love peppers, you will love that.
Yeah.
I'm on fire, like breathing fire. Everybody here has an opinion about beer, and you guys were on the top of the list.
Well, that's flattering. All right, so this one people get really excited about. It's called Unicorn Death Wish, a tart German wheat beer. And we put 800 pounds of rainbow sherbet into it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You can taste rainbow sherbet.
Cool.
Again, not a sweet beer. It's dry, and it's got this nice tartness to it.
Totally. All right, we've got Touch of Grey. So this is a mixed culture grisette beer. So it's kind of funky, kind of tart.
I like this one.
Thank you.
It is funky.
Up next, we've got Special Magical Shirtless Power.
I call that tequila.
That is a hazy IPA brewed with Nelson Sauvin hop hash.
That is hoppy.
Right, really hoppy.
It is really hoppy. I would not have expected that when I just picked that up.
And up next we have Neon Ghosts, which is another style of IPA, or same style of IPA, just different hop profile. And that is Mosaic and Eldorado. And that is probably our #1 seller right now.
Oh, now that is intense. This is the most complex of them to me. Yeah. This is a little heavier, a little richer.
Sure.
Definitely got more hoppy character to it. There's this lovely balance in all of the styles of the beers.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. That's definitely on purpose.
And there were some weird ones there. There was a couple of...
For sure.
Wait, that's Asheville in a glass, isn't it?
Huge artistic community. It's cool to be a part of it.
A hot spot for gourmet beers and cider, yes. There's only one more stop. True down-home Western North Carolina barbecue at 12 Bones, where I meet owner Bryan King.
When I smell pork, I'm ready to pull.
Basically, we're just trying to get the real, heavy, gristly bits off.
North Carolina Western barbecue is pork.
That's correct. Western North Carolina is pork shoulder with a tomato-based sauce. Eastern is whole hog with a more vinegar-based sauce.
How big you want me to do this?
Not shredded,
right?
Just pulled. You got to test it and make sure it's okay for the customers.
That melts in your mouth.
It's unbelievable.
It just dissolves.
So we've had a couple high-profile visitors over the years. President Obama and the First Lady. They've had our food on 3 occasions, actually. I mean, we're cooking anywhere between 24 and 48 butts a night.
I like big
butts, and I cannot lie.
You got it. Nice racks and sweet butts. Is that your motto?
Tender butts and sweet racks.
It smells magnificent in here.
It absolutely does. These are pork shoulder, also called pork butts. We load the smoker with cherry wood, and then the butts smoke for 13 hours. And so by the time we come in the morning, we're able to pretty much put a spoon in, and it's spoon tender. This is our brisket. We get a nice little crust on here. What we like to do now is just take the top part of the brisket and separate it from the bottom. And the top cut of the brisket is really delicious. I prefer a fattier cut. We also provide that lean cut, the bottom piece of the brisket.
That meat is so tender.
Yeah.
You're missing out by not being here. I've had the brisket, I had the pulled pork already, so now you got me the ribs.
Right. This is the crowning achievement right here. Our signature sauce is definitely our tomato and our blueberry chipotle. The great thing about that is, it's got that fruitiness to it, but there's also a little bit of a kick.
First bite, you get a hit of blueberry.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of melds into the flavor of the rib.
It was a tough sell in the early days. Next thing over is the corn pudding.
Creamy, pillow-like texture, softness, and secretly one of my favorite things. I'm going in for the collard greens.
That and the corn pudding are my favorite sides.
You know what? You need that bitterness. You need that hint of sweetness, the smokiness of the bacon. I need to wash it down.
There's a couple brews around town.
And of course, 12 Bones Brewing has the news on brews. There's just one more flight before my flight home.
There's something for everybody here.
Yeah. All right, cheers.
I will cheers you. Thank you.
Scott.
You bet.
In Asheville, I have been surrounded by Mother Nature at her best. There's such a laid-back, kind of peaceful vibe here, but not in a slow way. Yes, there's an energy and a bohemian sensibility. It just embodies the creative spirit. I went back in time at Biltmore Estate to an elegant era, and then stepping downtown, I feel like, you know, it was stepping forward into the future. I'll tell you, it's easy in Asheville to live well, to eat well, and of course, to drink well.
100 Days Drinks, Dishes, and Destinations is brought to you by...
With AMA Waterways, guests can climb, pedal, and journey beyond the beaten path while cruising on storied rivers across Europe. You can find out more at amawaterways.com.
When I picture my dad, Josh, I remember his hands. Strong, they were worn, stained. That was years of hard working as a lumberjack. His commitment, work ethic, values, that's what really inspired me to create Josh Cellars.
Otherworldly and down to earth. Visit Napa Valley.
For more information on all episodes, along with our expanded digital series, including behind-the-scenes footage and stories, and links to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, go to 100daysdrinksdishesdestinations.com.
I feel like I should dance through. I feel like I should glide.
So a fair amount of Veuve Clicquot passed through these lips.
Mine too. There's a fair amount have gone right through here. Farm living is the life for me.
If you can't get dirty at a barbecue place, where can you?
That's true. So I'm kind of thinking maybe you guys that you do like a pork lip gloss. Look at that.
All of the great wine keeps you looking young and vibrant for many years.
I'm 107. You'd never
You
know.
look amazing.